Lately, no. Lessons with him for a really long time. Sure, he's doing good.
Yeah, yeah. He's
I am. Me Junior. Way too fast. That's a great question. I forget. I signed up. While we were still in school.
Test, test. Sounding okay out there? Thank you. All right.
מה טוב ומה נעים,
שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. Hine matov umanayim, how good it is to be together. As you can see, Cantor Hyman's substitute canceled last minute. And so I'm grateful to be joined on the bima by Rabbi Friedman to my left, which is unusual, and by our president, John Broder, and by all of you and your strong voices in the pews. Cantor Hyman is serving on faculty at URJ Camp Harlem, and so we are happy for him and happy for our Road of Shalom campers as much as we miss him. He must really trust us. It's a joy to wish you a Shabbat Shalom. Let's take this moment to be sure we are among community. Please take a moment to turn around and find someone new to greet. All right. To kindle our Shabbat lights, we welcome Jennifer King and Mari Ginsberg and Tegan and Leah Karuna. Shabbat Shalom. We turn to page 2.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו להדליק נר של Shabbat.
And our Shabbat Kiddush is on page 5.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת, מכל העמים, לשבת קודשך, באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת
לחיים. לחיים, שבת שלום.
While in Southern California last week for my cousin's wedding, I learned Los Angeles driving. I had heard about the traffic, and it is no joke. And what was surprising is that while it was scary to have so many cars on the road, and if I were one to use four-letter words, I would have, might have, actually, I found the Los Angeles drivers to be extremely patient. They don't honk at you, and I don't give them reason to, I'm sure. No, I did, and they still didn't honk. It's quiet, and people, I think, just understand and accept we're going to be here for a while, and they settle in and surrender and let go of that over which they don't have control. It's an interesting lesson that if they can master in that many lanes on the freeway, we can certainly strive towards here for Shabbat. And so as we enter Shabbat prayer, let us surrender, release, let go a bit into our sacred time and sacred space together. We begin with Kabbalat Shabbat, beginning on page 12, singing together, L'chuna Ranana.
L'chuna Ranana,
Yai, lai, 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 L'Adonai, Yai, lai, 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 Nahariah, Yai, lai, 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 L'tzor Yishenu, lai, 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 lai.
let us
Sing unto God, the maker of all, sure and strong. Let all of creation from mountain to sea hear our song. L'chuna Ranana, lai, 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 L'Adonai.
For all of the wonder
In all of God's light, we rejoice. So now let us listen with all of our hearts to hear God's voice. Lechu neranena, lai, 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 L'Adonai, lai, 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 Nariah, lai, 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 L'tzor Yisheinu, lai, 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 lai. With the joy of a clergy and congregation who have wonderful instrumentalists with us, we welcome Shabbat with Lecha Dodi, pages 20 and 21. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat, nekavela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat, nekavela.
Shamor v'zachor
b'dibor echad, Ishmianu el hamilchad, Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, L'shemo tiferet ve'letechila. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat, nekavela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat, nekavela.
Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha
Ki mekor haberacha, merosh mikedem nesucha. Sof ma'aseh b'machshavat tchila. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat, nekavela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat, nekavela. Hitoreri, kiva orech kumi uri, uri, shir daberi, kevod Adonai, alayich nigla. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat, nekavela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat, nekavela. Please rise if you're able.
Boi v'shalom
Ateret bala, gam b'simcha u'v'tzohola, toch emunei am segula. Boi chala, Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat, nekavela. 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 Turning to page 28, we continue with our call to worship.
Yai dai dai, yai dai dai dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai dai, yai dai dai dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai. Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Ya lai 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 lai.
Page 31. Together. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Page 33. Together. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael, page 34.
Shema
Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Page 36. Please be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך.
והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך. ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בעם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בעיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. In a moment, we'll be on page 40 for Micha Mocha. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel wrote, "Prayer is meaningless unless it is subversive, unless it seeks to overthrow and to ruin the pyramids of callousness, hatred, opportunism, falsehood. The liturgical movement must become a revolutionary movement, seeking to overthrow the forces that continue to destroy the promise, the hope, and the vision." We take his words into the vision of our people's redemption. page 40.
Yai lai lai
Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, la 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 la, ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nehedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot oseh b'ala, nora tehilot oseh b'ala. Malechutecha ra'u v'anecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, ze Elianu ve'amru, ze Elianu ve'amru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai yimloch le'olam le'olam va'ed. Prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. God may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, and rebuild a weakened will. Page 46. Please rise.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot V'imahot, U'mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, L'man Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magin, Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Avraham, V'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol, Atah Rav v'Hoshia, Morid hatal, Mechalkel chayim b'chesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim v'rofeh cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar, Michamocha ba'al gevurot, Umido melach, Melech memit umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'hachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, U'kedoshim b'chol yom yahalalucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Please be seated. Turning to page 61, let us join together in our blessing for peace. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes.
Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamvarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. We take these moments for silent prayer.
Oh, say shalom bimroma. Hu
Yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru Amen.
Oh,
Say shalom bimroma. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru Amen.
Yalla la 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 la, yalla la la la, yalla la 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 la la, yalla la 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 la, yalla la 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 la. Oh, say shalom bimroma. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru Amen. Yalla la 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 la, yalla la la la, yalla la 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 la la, yalla la 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 la, yalla la 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 la. Oh, say shalom bimroma. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru Amen.
In a moment, we will be on page 253, in the middle of the page for the Mishberach, our blessing for healing. Rabbi Shai Held, a scholar who suffers from chronic illness, writes, "There is a moment in Jewish liturgy that I find particularly moving. The core metaphor of Shabbat is the idea that we live as if the world were already redeemed. Shabbat is, we say, a foretaste of the world to come, a glimpse of a world in which all has been made whole. So we don't make requests in the Shabbat liturgy. There is nothing to ask for, since we already have everything we need. And yet, we still say a Mishberach, a prayer for healing for people who are ill. It's as if the reality of pain and suffering break through our metaphor. The world may be metaphorically perfect, but cancer is still racking my sister's bones. Depression is crushing my brother's soul. Chronic physical pain is torturing my colleague, and so on and on.
We're so committed to acknowledging the reality of pain, so attuned to the fact that illness is often an excruciatingly heavy burden, that we find a way to express it, even when it seemingly conflicts with the spirit of the day. So as we turn to the prayer for those who are ill right now, it's okay, it's really okay to acknowledge our pain. It's foundational to Jewish theology. God cares about our pain. End quote. If you or a loved one is in need of healing, mind, body, or spirit, please add that name to the comments or speak it aloud now.
Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Limotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We turn our thoughts to the simchas, the special occasions in our lives worthy of blessing. As we reflect on the past day, on the past week, consider whether there is something that you might be inspired to share and call out. Does anyone have a simcha you'd like to share in preparation for our blessing for gratitude? Ethel. I'm too short to see your hand. Were you pointing at Jules? Jules, happy 85th birthday. Wonderful, wonderful blessing, wonderful simcha to share. Now, I don't point people out for this. Sometimes I give hints, though. Somebody may have book news. Does somebody have book news that would be worthy of sharing? Did you read a book? Great. Anybody else have book news? It's cool. Hector, is your hand up?
This is not my dissertation, but I signed my first book contract this week.
It's not your dissertation, but you signed your first book contract this week. Terrific. Wow, that's just a lot of content coming from one soul. That's wonderful. We need you. Beautiful. Mazel tov. Is that Teddy? I thought so. Say that louder. The poetry book was published. It's amazing. Mazel tov. Mazel tov. Anybody else that we missed? Are you raising your hand or pointing to others? You're like elbowing others. I know, I do that too. All right, for those blessings and for this blessing of joining together for this Shabbat, we turn to page 344 and continue with the Shehechianu.
ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Shabbat Shalom. I'm concerned you might not have heard enough about the Barbie movie. I'm blown away by the achievement of proud feminist filmmaker Greta Gerwig. It was her name that compelled me to see Barbie, and I liked it. As the movie ended, my husband asked, "Is there a sermon in there for you?" There are 10 sermons. We could discuss plastic and sustainability, the Book of Genesis allegory, binary gender, heteronormative assumptions, consumerism, and my wish to see Mattel donate all the proceeds to feminist causes. Another time. I'm picking the sermon that does not require you to have seen it and does not spoil anything either. A few basics. The Barbie doll was created in 1959 by Ruth Handler, who with her husband would start Mattel. Barbie was the first adult doll and aimed to give young girls a doll that was not a baby, that did not position them into the role of mother. Over time, Barbie had over 200 careers and multiple skin tones and body types. Yet, the original remains the standard. A body that reinforces impossible expectations. Gloria Steinem has said, Barbie, quote, was pretty much everything the feminist movement was trying to escape from. I'm with Gloria, and despite what I do appreciate about the movie, I'm with our congregant, the novelist Jennifer Weiner, who writes, I loved the message of empowerment and self-discovery. I loved America Ferrera's monologue. I loved the music and the hot pink world. My one quibble is the body image piece. Women all over the world have been living with Barbie's impossible-to-achieve proportions held out as the ideal. And then, with the presence of a single, barely plus-sized Barbie and a critique, all is forgiven? Hey, Barbie, not so fast, she writes. The movie took on a lot, as it both upheld and subverted Barbie's message. And, she writes, I'm impressed with how much Greta Gerwig got away with. I just wanted a little more acknowledgement of how Barbie has been a part of the problem before I was willing to see her as a part of the solution. I've also been thinking about curvy Barbie. Mattel introduced her in 2016 as a belated response to the harm Barbie 1.0 has wrought. Moms were delighted. Little girls, not so much. Researchers found that little girls preferred the old school doll and that they assigned more positive qualities, is happy, has friends, to stereotypic Barbie. If girls as young as 3 already prefer thin bodies and disdain less thin ones, and if their self-esteem is doomed to suffer, it's going to take a lot more than one movie or one doll to fix it. I think the director, Greta Gerwig, would agree with Jennifer Weiner. Of all of the press on the Barbie movie, my favorite comment comes from the New York Times column where Gerwig says, "I'm doing the thing and subverting the thing." The movie is not the doll. The movie is Greta Gerwig's perspective of the doll and of the society that accepts the doll. The movie is her defying the very principles, values, and norms that serve as a foundation for the doll. I'm doing the thing and subverting the thing. Right in the middle of the movie, that compels us to care about the character Barbie during her visit from Barbie Land to the real world, and that invites us to laugh at Barbie's shock that the real world indeed objectifies and devalues women, and Ken's shock that the real world favors him for no apparent reason for merit. Gerwig offers a profound lens on patriarchy with what we'd call a midrash, or a commentary, embedded right there in the middle of the movie. Picture it. On her visit to the real world, the impossibly perfect-looking Barbie sits on a bench where she notices a 91-year-old woman beside her. It's a type of woman she's never seen before, because there are no old women in Barbie Land. When Barbie looks at her, she finds her beautiful and tells her so. The woman already knows. With abundant self-worth, the elderly woman defies the stereotypes and establishes a different ideal. With this act of resistance within her own narrative, Greta Gerwig is doing the thing and subverting the thing. For me, that's what makes this film so Jewish. Progressive Judaism, the Jewish prophets, Jewish equity, inclusion, diversity commitment, Jewish commentary itself is about doing the thing while subverting the thing. Since the beginning of Judaism, from Abraham's smashing his own father's idols, to dissent, to the social justice opposition to the status quo, subversion has been central to Jewish tradition. In her forthcoming book called Loving Our Own Bones, Disability Wisdom and the Spiritual Subversiveness of Loving Ourselves Whole, Rabbi Dr. Julia Watts-Belser examines the text in Leviticus that describes requirements for the priests in ancient Israel. God tells Moses that any priest whose body has a defect shall not be allowed to come before the altar to offer sacrifice. Rabbi Belser teaches, I flat out don't believe that Leviticus 21 tells the truth about God's own desires. But I do believe it tells us quite a lot about how humans judge each other and how quick we are to press our prejudices onto God. Rabbi Belser explains, even traditional commentator, the medieval thinker Maimonides, cannot abide the thought that God actually cares about the prettiness of a priestly face. In Maimonides' rejection of God's requirement for perfect, pretty priests, in his rewrite of the very character of God, our traditional commentator, too, subverts the thing as he is doing the thing. To subvert the thing as we do the thing, this is at the heart of Jewish feminism. In this week's Torah portion, Parshat Eikev, amid the book of Deuteronomy's review of the mitzvot, the commandments, and promises from God, the text reads, God will favor you and bless you and multiply you, blessing the issue of your womb. Pri bitnecha, the issue of your womb. But to whom is the text speaking? As is typical, the grammar and context of this text points to men as the audience. Rabbi Malka Drucker points out the Hebrew wording is all in the masculine singular, that's suffix cha, your, a man's womb. She asks, is the text saying men are imagined as having wombs? I'll suggest they probably have not come that far in their trans philosophy. More darkly, she asks, is the text saying men own women's wombs? I'll suggest that would actually be out of character for Torah. Ultimately, Rabbi Drucker suggests, perhaps we can generously understand the verse that indicates the fruit of a man's womb as a suggestion that empathy can allow anyone to access the metaphor. If men are invited to access a female-centered metaphor, then what are the implications for rethinking male-centered language in the tradition? Rabbi Drucker's teaching has the potential to open up the often male-centered metaphors, perhaps even the patriarchal privileges and norms to all genders, by taking the very symbol that in the text both expands and limits a woman's power, the womb, the very symbol that in the text and in society has been used as an excuse for gender roles, which of course are gender restrictions, by taking the very symbol of the womb and including men in its meaning of hope, abundance, promise, perhaps that grants me, as a woman, access to symbols that in the grammar and context of the text I have read as exclusive to men. If all genders can access the womb as metaphor, perhaps what we thought belonged to one gender can potentially be shared by all genders. Resistance against gender roles that are fundamental to Israelite civilization, such resistance, I believe, is our Jewish version of Greta Gerwig's vision to do the thing while we subvert the thing. May we learn from brave voices in this world how to do the thing and subvert the thing, that we may work toward a world that inches closer to justice, a world that, even this very Shabbat, may give us a glimpse of wholeness. Shabbat Shalom. We continue in our prayer books, turning to page 282 and then 287 for Aleinu. Please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת סוסו בגובהי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו אחד.
Everybody okay?
Got it.
Please be seated. The ark is missing the cantor too. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. This week, our congregation observes yahrzeit for the following people on whose shoulders we stand: Stephen Abramson, Arlene Altus, Jean Baruch, Kenneth Bean, Carol Baer, Jack Blumenfeld, Lillian G. Chadwin, Henry Kaminsky, Lawrence D. Davis, Regina Magaziner Dettelbach, Warren Elias, Marvin Ellenbogen, Frank E. Engel, Ruth Fader, Samuel Fingroot, Caroline Fleischer, Eva Frank, Louis M. Frank, Benjamin Friedman, Emily Cara Garbos, Al Goldberg, Eric Goldenberg, Odette Goldfeder, Isaac Greenstone, Maurice W. Hahn, Sigmund J. Herman, William Huckfeld, Flora Bachrock Jacobs, Samuel Clare, May Schneider Coleman Wise, Mame Room Cohn, Rosetta G. Kutcher, James Leitzel, Delia Leopold, Isidore Leitz, Albert H. Lieberman, Ida Livingston, Alan J. Lobus, Henry S. Lauchheim, David A. Magaziner Jr., Bernard Mann, Florence Schwartz Marcus, Isaac Meseroff, Barbara Michaels, Amelia Kahn Miller, Barbara Mitnick, Reba Friedand Moskowitz, Morris B. Moss, Hyman C. Newman, David Pincus, Hyman Robert Pine, William Portner, William Ravner, Sarah M. Reinhard, Alan H. Rubin, Martin Rosen, Henrietta Rosenbaum, Ruben Rosenberg, Viola R. Rosenthal, Joseph Hannah Rothner, Louis E. Rudow, Eleanor Siegel, Irvin Seltzer, Ida Shog, Nancy Schreier, William L. Seidenbach, Samuel S. Silverman, Ethel M. Simon, Susan Smith, Ida B. Snellenberg, Stella R. Summer, Levi Strauss, Stella Tenenbaum, Caroline Treifeld, John C. Vickers, David A. Weiss, Sylvia Weiss, Max Winokur, Antonia Wolmuth, Rosaline Wolfson, Isaiah Wolfson, Miriam G. Yermanak, Bella Light Zinneman. We add the names of those who've been taken from our midst, but not from our hearts, in these most recent days, for whom we observe Shloshim. Bill Finlay, Samuel Frieder, Ann Sue Israel, Pam Muchnick. And if you are observing Yartzeit or Shloshim for a loved one whose name was not called, please feel free to add it to the comments or speak it aloud now. Together we honor their memories as, turning to page 294, we rise for the mourner's Kaddish. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, ve'almad zivrach erutev michmalchuteh, v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, v'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam olmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal, Shmei d'kudashah berechu. Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, ta'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim alinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, alinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring comfort to the bereaved and peace to each of you. And together we say, Amen.
Ose shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Amen.
We welcome our President, John Broder.
Shabbat Shalom. I hope you could feel the Ruach as much as I could up here with a beautiful service. Who knew? But if you want more, I understand their new CD, Jill and Eli sing Shabbat songs, is available in the lobby on your way
What's
out.
a CD?
Oh, right, good point. Or I can give you the URL if you want to stream it. The other thing I want to mention, it just occurred to me we're in August already. It's unbelievable how fast the summer goes, and we're only a little over a month away from the high holidays. So you should have gotten your mailings at home, the URLs in your program to get all the information. So plan now, and I'll put in one more plug. If you haven't already and you want to come and chant Torah or Haftarah, you can let the cantor know about that. I've done it. If I can do it, you can do it. I guarantee you, it's a lot of fun. So also, if anybody is new to Road of Shalom and want to learn more, our wonderful congregant Lynn Edelman is waving to me in the back and waving to you. Please introduce yourself, and she's happy to tell you more. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you. Filmmaker Greta Gerwig's Christian family's closest friends were observant Jews. She would eat with them on Friday nights for Shabbat dinner, where the priestly benediction was recited over the children, as is tradition at the Shabbat table. May God bless you and protect you. May God show you favor and be gracious to you. May God show you kindness and grant you peace. Every Friday, the family would include her in the blessing. Gerwig shares, quote, "I remember feeling the sense of whatever your wins and loses were for the week Whatever you did or did not do, when you come to this table, your value has nothing to do with that. You are a child of God. I put my hand over you and I bless you as a child of God at this table, and that's your value. Gerwig remembers feeling she was safe and that she was enough. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May the light of God's Spirit shine upon you and be good to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God's presence be with you and bring you peace. Ken Hiratzon, may this be God's will. Shabbat Shalom.